Welcome back, friends. Thank you very much for watching this video. Welcome to my YouTube channel, TheIndianOptions.com. Okay. So today we are going to learn about the real life examples and how they relate to the options market. Right? Now, the reason why I'm taking a real life example is because though you might not be knowing about the options market or the option rules and regulations, but I'm very sure that if you are watching this and if you are really an adult, you might have gone through this example some time in your life. So I just want to pick up that example that you have already aware about it, you have already gone through it, and I'm going to correlate it with the options. Now in this series we are going to make 4 videos. Now in the first video we are going to assume that there is a house buyer and house seller. So we'll talk about this kind of trade. In the second video we are going to talk about the farmer who is having a land and he wants to sell the land to the builder. This is the second example. And third example, in the third video we are going to talk about the insurance company who are giving the health insurance, and the sick person who is actually or not sick, but the person who is taking the insurance, right? So insurance company and insurer, right? So this is the third example. And in fourth example we are going to talk about the onion market, like in sabji mandi. What happens in sabji mandi, right? What happens in the onion market? So we are just going to talk about these 4 things in 4 different videos. So please make sure that you watch all these 4 videos, so that in the conclusion you will be able to understand how these 4 real life examples will correlate to the options market, so that you'll get a very better idea about what we are talking about. And throughout this whole courses I'm going to make around 30 to 40 videos or so for this whole options trading training. And in all these videos we are going to talk about these real life examples, so that you can correlate it with the options. Okay, so let's go into this first video. Now this video is an house buyer. This example is about the house buyer and house seller. Now as you can see in the on the screen, now assume that the scenario is such that there is a house seller who is having who wants to sell his house at 20 lakhs. There is a house buyer who wants to buy the house but he has only 12 lakhs with him. And on the left hand side you will see that the buyer is going to receive around 10 lakh from his friend in 4 months of time. Now what happens is, now this buyer, he really liked the house, he really wants the house, but he doesn't have sufficient money. So what will happen? What happens in this scenario? His friend is going to give him 10 lakh rupees in 4 months, and then this guy can go ahead and his 12 lakhs plus 10 lakhs, that becomes 22 lakhs, and now he'll be eligible to buy the house for 20 lakhs, right? So this is the scenario. Now what happens is, now this buyer goes to the seller and he says, boss, I really like your house, I want to buy your house, but I don't have money right now, I don't have 20 lakhs, but I can give you 20 lakhs in 6 months. Now what would seller say? Seller say, okay, fine, that is okay, no problem, but I cannot take your word for it. I cannot wait for 6 months. If another buyer comes in and if he is already having the money in his hand, then I'm going to sell my house to this. But this guy says, no, please wait for me 6 months. Then the seller is going to say, okay, then give me some token amount, say 50,000. And then if you are not able to buy the house in say 6 months, then I'm going to keep that token amount, and you will have to you'll have to let go the token, and after 6 months I'll be able to sell this house to somebody else. And then they agree. This guy says, okay, fine, then he just has to manage 19.5 lakhs to purchase the house. Now this is the scenario, right? In similar kind of scenario you might have been through in your life, lot of events you might have done. Somewhere you might have given the token, you wanted to book a marriage hall or something, and you give the token. you have to book the caterers, you give the token. What happens if the event gets cancelled? Then your token will go away, right? Similar thing here. Now with this contract, now on the right hand side I am saying the contract terms. So what has happened? Assume that today is 1st of July. So today's contract date is 1st of July. House price is 20 lakhs and the contract expiry is 6 months. That means 31st of December, really 31st of December. And deposit or the token he has taken is 50,000 rupees and property in question is one house. So this is the contract. They do the contract, official contract. And now once they do the contract, now what has been established by this contract? Now in this contract there are few things that have been, some ground rules have been set. Now the buyer promised to buy the house at 20 lakh. Okay, he has given 50,000 token and he is going to wait for 6 months. That's, this. He doesn't have the full amount right now, but he knows he'll get some money, so he'll go. Now the buyer has also fixed the house of 20 lakhs, right? He has also fixed the price for 20 lakhs. Now tomorrow the seller cannot say, oh, you know what, after 6 months my house price is appreciated, now it is say 25 lakhs. It doesn't work that way. Price is set as 20 lakhs, so it will be 20 lakhs, okay, no matter what. Now with 50,000 rupees, this buyer, he has purchased the right to buy the house. Now this sentence I have made it in red because it's really very important. See, what has happened is this guy has given 50,000 rupees, but he has purchased the right to buy the house in 6 months time. Now he has a choice. He can decide whether to buy the house or not, and he is ready to lose 50,000 because he has already given 50,000. He is okay with that. If he decides to buy the house, the seller will have to sell him the house because the contract is made. If he says, no, I don't want the house now, but he will have to lose 50,000, which is okay. The seller will also be happy because he got 50,000 for nothing, right? So that has happened. Now from the seller's perspective, seller, what he has done is he has got 50,000 rupees, but now he will have to wait for 6 months. He cannot go and sell and make another contract with somebody and take a deposit from him also. Then he will be a culprit and then police will come and take him. Okay, it's very strict, so he cannot do that contract for 6 months, right? So if the buyer wants to purchase the house, he will have to pay 19.5 and the seller will have to sell the house at 20 lakhs. So these are all the contract terms, right? Now if buyer does not pay remaining 19.5 lakh by 31st of December midnight, 11 o'clock at night, 59 seconds, 23, 59, 59. Okay, that's really, that 1 second is also important. The contract is forfeit. So the buyer will lose the token, and buyer knows this very well. Whenever he did the contract, he knew that, this is, and seller is free to sell his house to somebody else. Seller can make a contract with somebody else. Now the price can be anything that they want, right? Now if the buyer needs more time, say for example his stupid friend didn't give him like 10 lakh rupees, but that stupid friend said that, okay, I'll need another 3-4 months, then this owner doesn't have sufficient money to buy the house, but he really liked the house, so he'll again go back to the owner, on 1st of Jan, and he'll say, can I get 2 more months because this guy didn't give me money. And in that case, again the owner, there will be a different contract. So the first contract is null and void. It has, finished midnight, and that it's the end of the story. Now since the buyer has come back again, there will be a second contract. Now in this contract the terms would be different. A seller would say, now my house price is say 22 lakhs or 23 lakhs, but now the token is 75,000. So now if the buyer agrees to pay 75,000 again the token, then the contract will happen. But if the next time the token he is giving 75,000, but now if he really buys the house, he will have to just pay 19 lakhs and 25,000. That 50,000 story is finished. You don't need to worry about that anymore, right? It is, contract is done, finished. That 50,000 story is done. So as per the new contract, he will have to pay 75,000 initially, and then when he wants to purchase the house, and he will have to pay remaining 19.25 lakhs, 19 lakhs, 19.25 lakhs. Okay, so that's how the contract is done. Now, what are the different possible outcomes of this, right? There are actually 4 possible outcomes that can happen. Okay, first one is that the buyer gets 10 lakh from his friend and he pays 19.5 lakhs to this guy and he becomes the proud owner of the house. This is first scenario. Second thing that can happen is that the buyer did not get 10 lakh from his friend. The buyer does not have sufficient money to buy, and so the contract is null and void. So it's not going to happen. Now, these are normal outcomes. These 2 outcomes are normal outcome, and there is third or fourth outcome that I am discussing here. Now, imagine the situation that around that house there is a big drainage pipe that is broken. Okay, now, and it is irreparable damage. Now the whole area stinks, right? Now the price of the house is now 12 lakh rupees. It's decreased from 20 lakhs to 12 lakhs because now the house is stinking and nobody wants to go and stay there and stuff like that, right? And now there is a fourth scenario that could happen. That assume that there is a news came on the TV that under this house there is some buried treasure by Shivaji Maharaj or somebody, very historic value or something. Now immediately the house price is now shot up to say 90 lakh. Okay. Now these are 4 scenarios. First one is that he buys the house at 20 lakhs. The buyer doesn't. Second scenario is the buyer doesn't buy the house, and third thing is that something has happened and the drainage pipe broke. So now the house value is decreased to say 12 lakhs. And in the fourth scenario, there is a treasure found, and now the price of the house is increased to say 90 lakhs. So these are 4 scenarios that could happen. Now, if you really look at it, the first 2 scenarios, the buyer purchasing the house or buyer not purchasing the house, these were expected outcomes, normal expected outcomes of this whole scenario. Now the third and fourth event are unexpected things that happened during the course of the contract. Now the contract started 1st of July and December July, and within this time actually these 2 things happened, right? Now we'll just take scenario one by one, right? Now in the third scenario what happens is, now if the drainage pipe is broke and it is stinky, the house value is now 12. Now the buyer might have the money, his friend might have given him the money, but buyer might choose not to buy the house. You know why? Because he will say, it is stinky, now the price is 12 lakh rupees, and then why should I buy the house at 20 lakh rupees? Because the contract says that 20 lakhs, so he will have to pay 20 lakhs if he really wants the house, or 19.5 for that matter, right? But now the buyer he's going to use some common sense. Why to waste 8 lakh rupees by binding with this contract or going ahead with this contract? He'll just say, Mr. Seller, okay, keep that 50,000. I'm not interested in buying your house now. So please keep that 50,000. I'm okay with what. So it's very common sense, right? In the fourth scenario, imagine that the TV news came and there is a buried treasure, and then they have got like 90,000, 90 lakh is the value of the house. In this situation, what happens? Buyer will do anything. He will beg money, he will borrow the money, he will steal the money if he have to, but he will make sure that he will buy the house. Why? Because though the price of the house right now is 90 lakh rupees because of the treasure, he will still get to pay only 19.5 lakhs. He will have to pay only 20 lakhs because he has already paid 50,000, and only in 19.5 he can get that house because of the contract. And because of that contract, then he'll be very happy. Now since he has done the contract, the seller has accepted the token. That's why there is no say in this. There is no say in this. Always the buyer has the choice to either buy the house or not buy the house. It is his wish. It is his wish, and the seller is kind of like, he has to obey whatever that buyer is thinking, right? Because he has accepted that premium, right? Now in this scenario, what happens is that there is a big profit for the buyer. Now buyer, technically what has happened is buyer has paid only 50,000 rupees. Okay, but now he has got the house of say 90 lakh rupees and potential profit of say 70 lakh rupees. This is a very big loss for the seller because because of that stupid contract he did 6 months ago. Now because of this news, though the price of the house is 90 lakh rupees, he will have to sell that house in a loss of 70 lakh rupees to the buyer. This is really, this contract is very law abiding contract. If you are not when you are an options trader, you have to really obey the contract, otherwise money will disappear from your account. When you are opening a demat account, you are giving the permission to the government to go into your account and take the pursuit. It's like power of attorney, you are already giving it. There's nothing you can do about it. So better is learn the rules of the game and try to obey them all the time. That's it. Now let's go back. Now who is happy and who is sad in this scenario? Now in first scenario, when the buyer buys the house, actually buyer is happy because he got the house and seller is happy because he sold the house. Now in the second scenario, buyer does not buy the house. In this, the buyer is a bit sad because he has lost 50,000 rupees because his stupid friend did give him money, so he has lost 50,000 rupees. And seller, he is really very happy because he got 50,000 rupees just for waiting for 6 months. Right? He is very happy. 50,000 is good enough for him. Right? In the drainage issue, now if the drainage issue happened, in this situation actually both will be happy, right? Because what buyer will think is, oh, you know what, maximum I lost is 50,000. Now imagine I would have lost like 8 lakh rupees because I would have bought the property. Imagine that I would have bought the property of say 20 lakh and after that the pipe would have broken, or after that the drainage pipe would have broken. Then it would have been a loss for the buyer, right? So he is very happy that, okay, fine, the drainage issue has happened before the contract actually happened, so at the most he has lost 50,000. He is happy by that degree, some degree, right? Now seller is also happy because he has got 50,000. Now he can fix the drainage issue if he really wants to. So that's a balance. Now in the treasure discovery situation, buyer is really very happy because with minimum input 50,000, he has got maximum output 70 lakhs. Seller is very sad because he took 50,000, he saw 50,000, that was a good thing, and now because of that 50,000, now he has lost the 70 lakh rupees value house, 90 lakh rupees value house. In all, he has lost 70 lakh. Right? Now, always remember, whenever the buyer always pays the token, seller always receives the token, and buyer is always the king. His wish is the command. Seller is always the slave, unless and until that contract expiry date is there. So seller is expiry guy basically here. So seller is the guy who is slave, and he will have to obey whatever the buyer is saying. Right? Now in the next screen, I am trying to show how the premiums journey happens in 6 months time. So I am just taking down hypothetical examples here. Now just say that there is a blue line there which starts from A and which goes to F. Now under the normal situations, what happens is that if no events have happened, neither the drainage pipe has broken or neither the gold is found or the treasure is found, normally the premium, it loses its value from the time the day expiry the contract was done till the expiry day. So now I have taken that blue line. It starts from 180 days away from expiry, and on expiry day it reaches the point F and it becomes 0. This is the blue line. It happens in a very simple way. No events, nothing, no excitement. Whatever happens, it goes, right? Now imagine at point A, in the below part I have written that point A, buyer's loss is 50,000, seller's profit is 50,000 because he has got 50,000, right, at point A. Now imagine at point B, now Trump tweeted that he wants to move next to his house. Next to this house there is a very good bungalow and Trump wants to move in there. So now what happens is suddenly the house price is now increased to 30 lakhs and the premium is now say 60,000, right? Now in this scenario what happens is buyer's profit is if buyer wants, he can quit this contract right now at point B and he can take that 10,000 rupees profit, right? He paid 50,000 but he is going to get 60,000, so he can pay that, right? Now seller's profit is reduced by 10,000, right? So now it is only 40,000. He already got 50,000. Out of that 10,000 he will have to give, so 40,000 is remaining at point B. Now, say for example the drainage issue occurred and now we are at point C. In point C what happens is the house price has become now 12 lakhs, the market premium is now say 40,000 and the drainage pipe is broken, and now there is a loss of there is a very big loss. The buyer lost 36,000 rupees, okay, because the price of now the premium is only 14,000, right? So he has lost 36,000 and seller's profit is 36,000. Now at point D, the pipe is fixed. Assume that the pipe is fixed and now the price market premium is now 23,000. House price is now 15 lakhs, and that at point D buyer's loss is 27 and seller's loss is 27, something like that, right? 23. Right? Now assume that the treasure is found. Again the price increases from say 2 crores or 90 lakhs, it doesn't matter, but now the market premium is 100,000 and now the owner, the buyer, who is going to be really very happy because he can now sell that house or that contract to somebody else and he can get 100,000 as so his token is increased by 50,000. He paid 50,000, he got 100,000 back, that is 1 lakh back, and then he has made a profit of 50,000 in say 5 to 6 months, so which is okay, right? Now moving on to the next. Now how do we correlate this example to what happens in the options market? Now in options market, the house buyer is actually called as the call buyer and house seller is actually called as call seller, right? Now the house price, it means that it is called as strike price. Remember this word, strike price. We'll go through this word lot of times. You'll know what strike price is, but for the time being, just to correlate the house example to this, just remember that it is strike price. By when, that is 6 months that we said, that is the expiry date, okay? Now advance deposit, that is 50,000, that is called as premium. And the property in question, that is one house, it is called as lots, that is one lot, okay? Now in the options world, house buyer actually in the real life, what happens is in the real life option world, the house buyer has no intention to buy the house, neither the seller has any intention of selling the house. The whole game of this options trading is about that token premium, that is 50,000. The promises are made to each other and promises are broken just for this 50,000, okay? The premium goes up or down 6 months based on the good news or bad news that are happening about the house, and most of the time, this word is very important, most of the time the premium becomes zero at end of the expiry, okay? So the whole game is not about the house or buying the house or selling the house. It's only about that 50,000. Just remember that in options, nobody actually is selling something. It is just the promise that you are doing to each other, right? Going to the next screen. Now the $1 million question that you might be having right now in your mind is, then why the hell they are making a contract when they are not willing to buy this house or sell the house, okay? Now this is what happens in options, right? In options, there is no house, there is no intention of selling or buying anything. We are talking about only that premium, 50,000. Now what happens is, now I have taken an example. Now why call buyer did the contract with the seller even though he had no intention of buying the house? It is because his friend Mr. Verma had just purchased land near the house, and this information only the call buyer knows, and Vishnu Verma told him that he is going to build a shopping mall there. And then what this call buyer is thinking is that okay, maybe the options, the mall will come, then the house price will increase, the so the premium is going to increase from 50,000 to 75,000. So let me buy the contract. That is this is the thinking of the call buyer. He doesn't want the house. He just expects that his 50,000 is going to increase to say 60,000, 70,000 or whatever in a period of time. That's what he's thinking. Now on the other hand, now let's see why the seller might have done the contract. Now what seller is thinking is, you know what, I'm getting some weird smell around this, maybe the drainage price is going to break, so the price of the house might become, you know, less or something. And the buyer, if somebody does the contract, then I'm very sure that he might not buy the house, because the house price is going to be like 12 lakhs or something. So let me make a contract, let me at least take that 50,000 from the buyer. This is what seller is thinking. So actually the house is not going to exchange the hands. It is just the contract they are doing with each other, and it is all about that 50,000. Whether it will increase or decrease based on, you know, their understanding of the same example. Now we are talking about what seller is thinking, what buyer is thinking, and this is all about options. Now in reality what happens is, now imagine that there are 12 houses, or maybe 1,000 houses, or 2,000 houses, or 1 lakh houses. Don't worry about how many houses. There are, like, you know, millions and millions of houses. Now what this buyer does is, the buyer doesn't have money to buy even a single house. He has no intention of buying the house. He doesn't have money to even buy a single house. But what he does, he has money, 50,000, 75,000, 35,000, 20,000. So he is going to buy lot of contracts based on, you know, paying his money, paying his deposit. At least in one situation, he is assuming that maybe the mall might come and he might hit a jackpot, and then he will recover that profit, and then he will be able to cover all his losses where he has opened, you know, so many contracts by paying the token, right? Because what happens is, he has no money, he is not going to buy the house. He also knows that. So his token is going to go waste if he doesn't buy. So at least what he is thinking is, at least let me make like 50 contracts of 50 different houses. At least somewhere something will happen, and he'll get a lot of money, and that money, whatever profit he is going to get, it will cover everything, right? So that's what he is thinking. Now on the other hand, seller is thinking that okay, I will sell that house, I'll sell that house, I'll sell that. So seller is just sitting there and, you know, trying to get you know, the premium from lot of other people, and that's what is the profit for the seller. He has no intention of selling the house, or he doesn't even own the house, or he doesn't even have the house. It is just like 1,000 houses are there, and he can just pick up in random, and he can say, okay, you know what, I can sell that house in 75 lakhs. Okay, but the premium is 75,000. Oh, I can sell that house in 20 lakhs. The house premium is this. So he just keeps on accepting the premium. Buyer keeps on just sending the premium. Now here what happens is, the buyer is the king always. So if buyer wishes to execute the contract, he will execute the contract, and seller will have to obey him, right? So there's nothing new in that. So in the conclusion, what happens is that the buyer pays the premium. Buyer has a choice to go ahead with the contract or just walk away, losing the token, of course. Buyer is a king. Seller gets the premium. Once the premium is accepted by the seller, then after that he is at the mercy of the buyer. Premium price can increase or decrease based on the news of the property in question, and whenever the buyer has the feeling that the property price is going to increase, then the contract type which he will casually do is called type of contract, right? So that's about it for this video. I hope it was informative, and you are able to try to correlate this, some example which you might have gone through, and correlate it with the options. Now in the next video we are going to watch, take the example of the farmer who is having a land and who is trying to sell that land to the builder. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. I'll upload this presentation in my on my website www.TheIndianOptions.com. Please become a member and download this presentation and read through it. If you are not able to understand what I'm saying, please reverse this video and see it again. This is very important concept, and you should know what is happening. And later on in a lot of videos we are trying to correlate this with the options market, and once you understand this example, it will be very easy for you to understand how the options market functions. So stay tuned, and looking forward for you to seeing my next video. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.